So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome to the group Byron Sakha. Have I said your last name right?
Yeah, that's fine. Sakha is fine.
Sakha, yeah. Everybody, Byron and I are in a business group together called Black Belt, and we've known each other for a little bit. And we were talking the other day at one of the events, and it just struck me how awesome a fit Byron would be for our group. And I have to say, it's always amazing what gold you find that you've looked at for quite a while, but you don't actually see. You know, and it really just took a conversation. And I'll just kind of mention that in this group that we're in, there's quite a few people that talk about mindset and positivity and all these really awesome things that if you can get your head around, it's great. But generally, they kind of come off as a little bit light and fluffy. And sometimes you just kind of go, oh, that's a little out there for me, you know, and you kind of resist it. Byron's got a great way of resonating with us and talking in real terms, real language, no BS, just this is how it is, and it really hits home. So I'd like to welcome Byron to the group and introduce him to everyone. I won't ramble on too much longer about you, Byron, but Byron, this is everyone. Welcome to the group. You know, just invite you to tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe a little bit about the connection you have to the construction industry.
Yeah. Thanks, Bruce. Pleasure to be here. Everyone, I look forward to adding as much value as I can in the time we have so that you can leave with some practical tools as Bruce has been sharing that I like, the non-fluff, something that it's tangible, practical, you can understand it, grasp it, and apply it straight away. So I can see your comments, just to let you know that if you make comments as we go, then that's great. And then we can go deeper on any questions that you may have. So my background is, for the last 15 years, I've been in the construction and property industry. So I started in the construction industry. I've got my honors degree in construction management. That was the first route I went in my secondary studies outside of school. And I enjoyed it. I had a particular interest in the property side of things, sort of finding sites, doing the financial feasibilities, the whole design aspect. I really love working even with the different sort of designers and the trades. And I have a lot of respect for the industry that you guys are in, because it's what actually completes a home or a commercial building. So I was in that industry I'm still in the industry. I still do property development, but I also had a really keen interest for human behavior. I was always fascinated since a young kid between what's the difference between people who they sort of seem to struggle to even get by and to just survive. And then there's other people who seem to be thriving and everything seems to be working in their favor and their relationships are great, or their health is great, or they're doing well financially. It's like, well, what are they doing that these other people aren't doing? And I came from a home where there was a lot of adversity, a lot of challenges, and in my networks growing up as a kid. So I had this keen interest to try and decipher what are the key pieces that lead to a really fulfilling life. So I went on a journey whilst I was still having my construction property development business, but I was doing every course under the sun, traveling the world, studying with different thought leaders, invested multiple $100,000s in different certifications, from psychology to counseling to hypnotherapy to meditation.
All the letters.
Yeah, all the you name it. I wanted to know it all because I found some clashed with the other. I was like, well, that doesn't make sense if this is that and the others are saying this. So I've synthesized the process, which is a lot more streamlined. So today I can really appreciate what the challenges that are in the construction industry, from people with their budgeting issues to the time constraints. Sometimes you're at the end of the job, particularly in joinery making, you're at the end of the job and suddenly that's when the biggest push is from the developers or the clients or their funders are putting pressure on them. So you might cop the end of it where they expect the impossible at some time. So there's a lot of pressure, which I can empathize with. I can certainly relate to a lot of the challenges in the industry, as well as have been through it myself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Yeah. Like I said, you're really a good fit for this group, and I'm really looking forward to what you're going to bring. I'm going to share my screen right now and we'll start jumping into things.
Cool.
Pray, fingers crossed. Oh, look at that. It works.
Nice.
It works. Oh, perfect. Okay, so that's your introduction. Byron, if you need to, just let me know to turn the page.
Okay, great.
If anybody has any questions, please chuck them in the box. Either myself or Kim will field them. Byron, just focus on giving the value and the good stuff that you got.
Yeah, okay, great. So welcome everyone to this presentation. I was speaking to Bruce and we were brainstorming on what would be most valuable for you in the time we have so that you can have some real tangible ideas and principles to be able to apply in the current adversity that we have around the world today. It has implications on the business from family perspectives. There's a lot of emotional turmoil that it can bring up. So the topic of today's presentation is called Leading Through Adversity. And if we want to switch to the next slide, Bruce, where I give, so that's me.
Yeah.
And then, so if I go through a little bit of an overview, what we're going to cover, it's going to be how do we be more present, more calm and focused despite the external adversity that may be going on. Because whilst there's a lot of noise and a lot of hysteria going on outside, particularly driven through the media or different social media channels, it's how do we still govern ourselves? How do we still manage our own emotions and manage our own mind so that we can be making the best decisions and taking the wisest action possible to be able to get the best results that are available to us given the current circumstances. So we're going to be looking at how do you bring the best version of yourself forward in times of adversity? How do we tap into our own personal power if in times there may be fear or confusion or doubt that's trying to dominate our mind? How do we sort of park that to the side or persevere beyond it so that we maintain being the captain of our ship? And then we're going to finish today also with an exercise to help us really get clear on what are the most important things to us at the moment so that we can boost productivity, focus, and ensure that our output is getting us results. So the reason this is important, particularly why it's titled Leading Through Adversity, is because leadership has never been more necessary than in a time like this. We are faced with extraordinary circumstances, so extraordinary leadership is really needed. And when we're able to lead ourselves, that's when we're going to more effectively be able to lead other people. So if it's your teams in the workplace, or be able to lead in the conversations that you may be having with clients or with the banks or with family or with people around you, so that we at least know we're bringing the best version of ourselves to be able to add value to those interactions rather than adding stress and overwhelm, which can make it erupt. So we're going to be looking at how do we avoid the pitfalls of stress and overwhelm, maintaining mental well-being, because when we know how to lead ourselves, then we will be more clear, more focused, and less susceptible to emotional volatility. Also, the more we lead ourselves it takes better care of our physiology, because more stress and uncertainty in the mind, that creates physical unrest. And when we have the physical unrest, then that actually shuts down our immune system because we're activating the fight or flight response. So I'm going to go into this in further detail in a future slide. So yeah, the more we know how to lead ourselves, the more we can make a difference in the lives of other people around us. And it's going to be the interaction between how we lead ourselves and how we lead others. That's what's going to generate our results.
So I've got a question, Byron. I've actually got a question for everybody in the group right now. We've got David, Derek, Katie, Kim, Margaret, Natalie, Robert listening in. I'd like to ask everyone who's struggling a little bit with being a leader to your team. Who's struggling really right now with knowing what to do and how to lead your team? Because everybody on this call right now is in a position of leadership. Yes, it's hard to go without a clear picture of what's going on, David says. Derek says yes. Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, guys.
Yeah, it's a tough thing really in leadership. I actually, interestingly enough, I created a new word because I don't actually like the word leadership, but I get it. I know what it means. I found that leadership sometimes is disengaging because people see the leader as the person that left the tribe. little bit deeper for this meeting, but I've come up with the term of influenceship.
Yep.
Because I think that's a little bit more on point, right? As a word, that we actually want to influence the people that we're leading to be the best that they can be and to do great work, and basically just get the hell out of their way and let them do it.
Yeah.
I think that certainly in our industry, often leadership is taken as lead by example, follow me, I'll show you how, that sort of thing. But in actual fact, you want to inspire them to do it. Yeah. And I think that leadership is a misunderstood term.
Yeah, I think that's well said, and an important distinction to add is that leadership is primarily focused on inspiring others to become the best versions of themselves. And the importance of us leading ourselves is about tapping into our own source of inspiration, because the more inspired we are, the more people are going to feel that force, and they're going to be more enthused and more engaged to want to follow us or to be inspired to be the captains of their ship as well. So that's why the self-leadership is such a foundational component.
Yeah, and Katie said we're struggling because we don't know where we are leading them to.
Yeah.
Margaret says yes. Sue says feeling surprisingly calm. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Prime Minister is struggling. I think he always struggled with leadership, frankly. Anyway,
a lot of pressure on
where are we leading them to? Well, do you want to talk a little bit about that, Byron? Like, where are we leading them to? For me, there's certainty around where we're leading them to. And I think if we create certainty in our mind, that will help you with leadership.
Exactly. So before we can know where we want to lead others, we, in many ways, need to know where are we going ourselves. And this kind of fits to the next slide, Bruce, if you'd like to show this first principle, because there's going to be 6 key principles we're going through today, team. So if we look at this first concept of accepting the current reality, that's going to help us to alleviate a lot of confusion and suffering that we may be experiencing in our minds already, because a lot of the times what we're doing is we're hanging on to how we want things to be like in the past, or how we imagine things may have been different today based on a future we had envisaged. So what can happen is it takes us out of the present, and we're starting to try and solve problems or create changes to things that are not actually the current situation. So anytime we're living or spending time thinking about how we wish things were or how we wish things weren't, then we are removing our power. So the first thing we actually want to do is accept the reality that, okay, this is currently where we're at. This is currently what's going on. We're all handicapped in many ways by the same situation. Some may be able to create more opportunities from it. Others may be perceivingly more affected initially. But the first thing we want to do is actually just accept, okay, well, this is the current reality. So us becoming clear on that, it can put us back in the driver's seat to be able to say, okay, so how do I want to now deal with this current reality? Because if we say we don't know where we're going or we don't know where to lead our team, we won't know how to lead our team until we first get grounded in the current reality, and then we decide also where do we need to lead ourselves. So the clearer we are in where we need to lead ourselves, then the clearer we will then be able to build an action plan around it to go, okay, team, this is our action plan. Because as it was even this morning, there was a great quote that said, in times of uncertainty, we want to create a plan and then at least be certain in the plan.
Yeah.
So do we want to touch on that a little bit more, Bruce, or we'll if there's still more questions by the time we get through some of this?
Just everybody can just check it in. But Katie, it was a great question. And I think that we've kind of preempted that yesterday anyway. We've started the plan. We've started creating, where's my arm? The first plan, step 1 of the plan. And the really cool thing for me is that I never know 100% certain until it actually happens, whether I'm doing the right thing half the time.
Yeah.
But when people say to me, and I've had this comment throughout the group numerous times this week, we're so glad that we're in this group because what's happening is I'm creating a pathway for them that they wouldn't have otherwise had. And maybe they would have gone on a different path that would have taken them to close the business or to be very negative or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm having a magic wand and I'm fixing all the problems, but certainly we're rolling up our sleeves and getting done what we can do right now today.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, a couple of months ago, we were talking about month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. We're talking more now about what are we going to do today? Like you get up today and you go, look, what's the news telling me today? Okay, this is the new reality every single day. Let's deal with this one. And every single time it changes, we might adjust and change, but we've got to be in control of things. And we can be in control of things every single day. That's the leadership. So every single day if something changes, Katie, I think that where you're leading them through a certainty that you're in control and you're in charge and you're going to lead them through it.
Yeah, and the link you've shared, Bruce, to the exercise worksheet is going to be in Principle 6 that we cover. So we'll be providing some insight in how your team members can actually go about planning their days in the most constructive and productive manner, so that we have foresight. So whether we want to jump to that now, I don't mind, or build to it.
So this document here,
yeah,
we could talk a little bit about right now.
Yeah. So
perfect.
Okay, I'm happy to jump around a little bit because all the principles are going to be relevant and useful. We get very susceptible to confusion when we don't have a plan. And it's very hard to create a plan if we don't yet know what are our actual highest priorities that we want to be focusing our time, attention, and resources on. So the clearer we are in what are the most highest priority actions that I could be taking today that I know my business needs or my family needs or that I need to do to maintain my good health, the clearer we are on what those specific actions are, then the more certain we can be in what we need to do so that we can still be making progress. Because if we're trying to solve, so if we looked at, say, there's sort of 6 to 8 steps in an action plan, but if we're only trying to do in our mind, we're thinking about step 8 and thinking, yep, but what happens if this happens? Or how am I going to, in 3 weeks time, what if there's no work? Or what happens if clients pull the jobs or funding is removed? What happens if none of my marketing starts working? All these things become future thoughts. But the thing is, we can't solve problems that haven't yet happened. All we can do is deal with our current reality and be really clear on what are the highest needs of the business right now. What are the highest possible actions we can take to try and meet those needs?
It's a little bit like trying to connect, like I think it was Steve Jobs that said, I can't connect the dots moving forward, but I can when I look back.
Yeah.
And if we could connect the dots moving forward, we'd win the lottery every single day.
Yeah.
But of course, that's what we want to do, right? We want to try and connect the dots looking forward.
Yeah.
And the more we try and do that, the more we kind of go crazy trying to do it.
Yeah. If we try and figure out solutions to steps that we're not ready for yet, or we're not up to yet, then what that does is it takes away our power to influence the things we can control,
yes,
which is this present moment, which is our current reality. And then the more we can plan our immediate next steps, then we have foresight of what's going to be required. And then that gives us extra certainty to go, okay, there's certain things that are outside of our control right now. There are certain things that the extent that the virus may spread, the extent of people's behavior and their reactions to it, we can't control things that are going on outside of us. But what we can control 100% is how we're choosing to show up to it and how we choose to respond to it. That's where we have maximum power. So by getting really clear on, okay, if I was only able to pick a few actions that would give me the maximum effect on my results, what are those key actions? It could be as simple things as, okay, have I spoken with my accountant about the possible benefits that are from the government packages that they're offering? Okay. Another one is, have I touched base with all my team members and reassured them that I'm doing everything I can to ensure that we get through this period? Because sometimes simple communications haven't even happened yet. sometimes there's so much stress in thinking about work and finances. Oh, and I'm not going to be able to take care of my family. And then we neglect to even talk to the family and share how we're feeling and to create closeness. So having a conversation with the family that's open and sharing a little bit of vulnerability or being honest with them about what's going on, so that you can hear how they're feeling and they can know how you're feeling, so that you can be at least collaborating on getting through this together. Yeah. So when it comes to the business, it's think, what is the most important things you could be doing right now for your business? Is it cutting out unnecessary expenses? Is it doubling down on investments, things that give you a return on your investments in the business? Is it having to maybe have a talk to a couple of team members about, are they okay taking early leave at the moment, given the circumstances, but knowing that you're doing everything you can so that you can bounce back strong at the end? Is it pivoting in the business and thinking, okay, what are some other services that we could provide, other things that people still need in their everyday sort of lives, and maybe we can just reduce costs a bit, but we could then promote it to people. Hey, have you been having the kitchen, has putting a new kitchen been on the back burner for a while, or has creating a new wardrobe? Well, now you can get it for a better price than ever, but you still add the same amount of value to your home. So there's all different opportunities depending on how we're approaching it.
So I'd like to just pause for a second, Byron, and just ask everyone, what are your thoughts here, team, especially after yesterday where we actually did put a plan together with some very specific action steps? What are you taking away from what Byron is saying that we can apply into this sheet, possibly even from yesterday's workshop? What are you doing in business, number one? Are you securing your finances? Because there is the ability out there right now to I'm not saying we've got a magic wand and you're just going to get money, but we certainly have channels opened up. A little bit of feedback. Chasing finance options, David says. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've sent out a couple of emails lately around, there's probably 20 or 30 different links in those emails. You can, Margaret says they're chasing up all leads.
Cool.
Yep. I think that words are important. And you hear me say that quite a bit right now. Words are important. And I think if we're chasing, we're not leading. So obviously if a lead comes in, you want to follow it up. Absolutely. We do want to get really focused right now on how to get people to be chasing you. Because if you're chasing, that's what we affectionately call hunting. So, and it's also interesting right now around the traps on the internet. I try and sort of cut out all the negative stuff and look at the positive stuff. And there's some really wonderful conversations surfacing right now, yesterday and today, around how this is actually going to, when we come out the other side, be that catalyst that changed things quickly. And we always wanted this change anyway. So chasing leads, payments, also trying to get new work. Dragita, yep, thanks for that. Rent discussions with landlord, talking to suppliers. Marketing plan, Derek, yep, fantastic. Chasing leads, waiting from the bank, yep. Chasing leads, a lot of chasing. Modifying marketing. Margaret, maybe chasing is the wrong word. Yeah, that's fine. Working out how much we need in the bank to survive 30 days. If we shut, says Katie, yep, 30 days open with no money coming in and an extra 30 to keep going. Yeah, so a lot of really specific stuff there, which is good.
Yeah, that's great. So the clearer you are on what the highest priority actions are that you could be doing, then the more propelled you'll be is to keep moving forward and you gain momentum.
Yeah.
Because as we said, when we try and solve all the challenges at the same time, then it can lead to overwhelm. Whereas what we want to do is we want to have a look at, okay, what are all my options here? What are the actual options? What are the pros and cons of each option? I'm going to execute the best option. And I'm going to let the rest go until I've now seen the result after executing these best options.
Yeah, that's so good. Natalie says, adjusting marketing, following up home show leads, reducing costs, and financing options.
Cool.
Really good.
Great, guys.
So another friend of ours, Simon Bowen, in the group does all these models. And one of the things that he's really stressing right now is that we are sort of in survival mode. So we are quite often talking about how we're going to survive this, let's call it, relatively short period of time when we put it in relation to the lifetime of the business. We've got this little brief blip in our business life that we've got to survive through, into a mode that is definitely going to help us thrive. It's going to be that, sometimes that catalyst that's going to kind of be the thing we've been looking for all this time. It's going to be this huge upsurge in the market.
Yeah. Yeah. And also it's important to also be mindful that as challenging as these times seem, all of your competitors are as challenged. And the difference for those who are going to really struggle to get by versus those of you who are going to thrive is what the choices are that you make in these current times. So the competitors who aren't going to sort of come out of this ahead will be the ones that they don't accept reality, and they're dwelling on the past, and they're blaming external circumstances and that sort of thing. And they'll be focusing on all the things they can't control. Whereas if we shift our focus to, what are the things within our control? What can we influence? What can we move? And if we place our action taking around those things within our control, then that puts you in your best foot to be able to actually take proactive action and get some good results.
It is really interesting. Words are so powerful. Even in the group today, Byron, you and I were in a session this morning, and something came up that said, well, I'm going to blame the virus on all of this stuff that's happening. And even if we just reframe what we're saying, if we say, I'm going to actually use the virus as a reason to change. So I'm actually going to use this as an opportunity. We're not saying for a second that any of the bad stuff, the people that are sick and dying, is we're going to leverage off of that. Of course, we're not saying that for a second.
No.
But we also have to survive. We also have to come out of this somehow. And we're actually talking about how you as an individual, and then as a business and an entity and a community, can put this into the right mindset and the right words and the right actions that are going to come out of this at least the same, if not better, right? And if we look at this as an opportunity, a challenge and an opportunity to implement these changes. And I love what you're saying here, Byron, where you're putting this into really clear context and steps.
No, my pleasure. Because the challenges in life are unavoidable. I'm sure everyone on the call can relate to some of the most worthwhile accomplishments you've achieved throughout your life. They probably didn't come without any sort of effort or without any sort of hurdle to accomplish it. Same with anybody who's accomplished something great, whether it's to build a great health. It still requires breaking down the muscles in order for them to regenerate and be stronger than they were before. Everything that happens in the world, there's a cycle of there's birth and death. So even to create the joinery, we're killing the trees to be able to produce beautiful timber that then gives life to a home. So the nature of life and death is inescapable in everything that we have in nature. Nature gives us the best insight to how things work. So what we're currently experiencing at the moment, we could call it, say it's a death phase or it's a rebirth phase. It's a new opportunity for those who have been preparing to really take advantage of, and they will prosper. So we can choose, which is principle number 3 about controlling our focus. We can focus on the limitation, the scarcity. We can focus on things that could go wrong. We could focus on lack of opportunity. We could focus on how unfair it is. And all of those things put us in the amygdala, which is the fear-based, emotionally driven mind, part of the brain, which is actually the primitive animal mind. And that's where the fight or flight is. So if we're focusing on all the danger and all the risk, then that actually takes us out of our executive center, which is the forebrain, and we don't think as rationally. We're not as objective. We're more volatile. But if we focus on the things within our control, if we're clear on, okay, what it is that we're actually aiming for, that we still want to be an example for our families. We want to be an inspiration to people around us, that we were still a force of good during times of adversity. We still had mutual interests at the heart of our focus. We cared about others. We still were generous. We focused on possibility, opportunity. How can we pivot in the business? What can we shift? How can we still add a lot of value? Then that's going to help us to become more resilient, more adaptable, more rational in our thinking, and then we can generate better quality ideas. So our mood, our emotion, the quickest way to gain emotional governance is to ask yourself, okay, where am I focusing my attention right now? Because I assure you, anytime you experience some form of undesirable emotion, it's because our focus is on something that's lacking or wrong, or that our expectations are not being met in how we wish things were instead of accepting how they are. And if we shift our focus to things that we could still appreciate, like we're still alive, we still have opportunity, where it could be still that your family is still healthy. It could be that the business is still going currently. If we don't think about what may happen in the future, but it's like right now, if we focus on all the things that are still working and all the things that are still within our control, then that's going to give us our maximum power to actually work towards creating greater outcomes.
Yeah, Margaret's actually nailed it here.
Perfect.
The same thing, going to gratitude as often as possible, because gratitude focuses you on what's in front of you and what you have rather than what you don't have or can't control.
Exactly. And Bruce, and for the team online as well, we can't experience fear, stress, anxiety, worry whilst we're in a state of gratitude.
Yeah, that's such a great statement. Like when you're happy, you can't be sad.
Yeah.
When you're grateful, you can't be ungrateful.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like this next point that you make here, Byron, because
this is a big one. So team, in these circumstances, the beauty is that we still get to decide who do we want to be in terms of dealing with these challenges. How do we want to show up? We get to be the decider of that. Other people may let other people or the economy or the government or the weather or what have you determine who they end up being, because they give away their power to external circumstances. And therefore, they pretty much start operating in autopilot, a little bit, I call it zombie mode, where they don't know what they're doing, why they're doing it, or how they're doing it, because they've just given away their power to external circumstances. But if we shift our focus to, okay, ourselves and the things within our influence, and we go, okay, who do I want to be in this time? How do I want to show up? And if we become conscious of those qualities that we want to be portraying, then they're going to guide us. So how do you want your family to view you right now?
Yeah, that's such a powerful thing. And that's hit me all this week.
Yeah.
We've all had our ups and downs.
Yeah.
But I'm constantly reminding myself that my family is looking to me for guidance and for leadership.
Yeah.
And I'm probably like everybody, haven't always been as up as I should be, So as soon as you focus on that more and more and more, you make yourself really aware of, who you really want to be in the eyes of the people that mean something to you.
Yeah.
Your family, your clients, the people around you, your team, that sort of thing. It's really, really powerful.
Yeah. And bringing actual conscious awareness to what are those qualities. So maybe some of you want to comment even now. What do you think some of the qualities are that you want to be known for and remembered for during these times?
Yeah, for me, it's often about being calm.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Generous, kind, says Katie. It's
lovely.
Absolutely. Being kind to others. So important, having these human values rise to the surface. I came up with this saying, I might have read it somewhere, I don't know, but I come up with something, how you act in uncertain times is how they'll remember you in good times.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And, it's such a sobering thought, right? If I act like a jackass now, that's how people are going to remember me.
Yeah. Yeah, Bruce, because here's the thing. Anybody can do well and be nice, be kind, be generous when things are going their way in life. When business is good, relationships good, health is good, anybody can be kind and generous to others and thoughtful. But it's when shit hits the fan that an adversity strikes, how we show up then, that's where real character is revealed. Because a lot of people turn to nastiness or selfishness, or they'll put their needs ahead of others. but
Finger
being able
pointing,
to,
blame.
yeah. So being able to show up and be calm and caring and supportive and communicating well and still having gratitude for ourselves and for our team and the opportunities that are still existing, then that's the definition of great leadership right there. Or
I
great
think I think the other part here that's really important is it's okay when you're not like that sometimes. Like the pressure that we feel sometimes is that's how we have to be 100% of the time, sometimes breaks us down.
Yes.
I had my little moment yesterday when the neighbor was grinding outside my office window and the dog was barking, the computer wouldn't work, I couldn't log on, and I had about 5 minutes where I just completely lost it. and I just turned to my wife and I said, look, I'm sorry. Look, it's okay. That's going to happen from time to time, and I'm actually okay with it because we had a bit of a laugh about it and we'll look back and find it humorous, but
absolutely.
It's just going to happen. It's okay to not be those things all the time. Give yourself a break, but come back to that focus point again.
Yeah, that's the key point, Bruce, is that it's totally okay because we are humans and we're not robots. Whereas robots, you can program to be anything you want at any time, all the time.
Yeah.
But there are times where the humanness comes out and maybe we do get a bit flustered or we get annoyed or we're short patience, etc. But as you just said, we then get to decide, okay, how quick we bounce back though to the more aspiring qualities we want to be portrayed for.
Yeah. And this next point you make, I think, is really powerful as well.
Taking ownership. Yeah. I think if there was the single biggest contributor to a sense of empowerment, it comes from taking ownership, or another way of saying it is taking responsibility. And what that means is that, as I explained before, that whilst we may not be able to control everything that's going on outside of us in the external circumstances, we are totally in control of how we're choosing to respond to them. And it's the quality of our responses that determines the overall outcome. Sometimes people, they give away their power thinking that the event or the situation equals the outcome. But I have a formula where it's the event plus the response equals outcome. And
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Can I use that?
Yeah, of course. So because everything we're doing is a matter of choice. Every single thing we do, we're choosing to do, whether we're consciously aware of the choice or we're just allowing the autopilot program to make the decision first because we're not being consciously present around what sort of results do we want to create. And then we make choices that can align us with those results. So all of our results that we're currently experiencing are a result of choices we've made in the past. And all of the results we're going to experience beyond these times are going to be a result of the choices we make now. So the three simplest things we can do to fully be immersed in our power and to shift from being a passenger seat in our life or a passenger seat to the economy and getting back in the driver's seat is we do three things. We give up blaming, we give up making excuses, and we give up complaining. Because anytime we do each of those things, we're basically saying, well, my situation is because of this and because of that, and I can't do anything about it. So we're putting a ceiling on our ability to progress and to create change. Or we're saying it's someone else's fault, or that's the way they are, and all it's doing is justifying our results instead of putting us in the driver's seat saying, no, I'm absolutely in control of what I'm choosing to focus my attention on. I'm absolutely in control of how I'm choosing to respond to this situation, who I talk to, who I seek advice from, where I need to upskill, what I need to do different in my business model so that I'm more prepared for something like this in the future, whether it's a big cash reserve or it's having a better financial connection or it's seeking you, Bruce, to get more ideas and brainstorm more opportunities, or speaking to the way we reach out to different clients, the way we shift our messaging, the way we offer our service, maybe with different payment options. All of these things are within our control. So when we shift our attention to all the things we can influence, then it absolutely puts us in the maximum power to create the outcomes on an overall setting that are favorable.
Yeah, that's really good. I think, well, let me ask you this, Byron. Do you think that this period of time is going to sort of force us to do the things that we should have been doing in the first place, but at a more accelerated pace?
Absolutely. For those who want to respond proactively and focus on the things within your control, then this is going to be the catalyst to help you exponentially evolve. Because there are those who let the circumstances govern them and they perish. Whereas when we take control of, okay, what's going on? How do I capitalize on this? How do I grow from this? Then we will flourish.
It is interesting. You know, I've for years, I don't know how many years now, I've been saying we don't actually need physical currency anymore. And I get all kinds of opposition around this. Of course we need money. We need to have coins and dollar bills and stuff like that in our hands. I'm going, no, you don't. We actually don't need it anymore. We haven't needed it for a long time. Why do we still have it? Because people hold on to the old ways. They don't want to move out of this comfort zone. But the reality is, you know, we actually don't need it. So now we're being forced, you know, to not have it anymore because people are saying, you know, a lot of the shops are going, look, it's just tap only because money can transmit disease. Oh, all of a sudden this will work because we were forced to make it happen. And people are going, yeah, you know what? Maybe that will work.
Yeah. But it's unquestionable that the greatest innovations are given birth to from large challenges. It's
unfortunate, isn't it, that sometimes a catastrophic event forces a change that should have happened anyway, but didn't because people didn't have the, you know, they were not inspired to do it for whatever reason.
Exactly. And the thing is as well, because sometimes when things are going smooth sailing, we can become complacent because then we think, why would I stretch myself? Why would I put myself in the uncomfort zone to take on risk and to really stretch myself?
Yeah.
That's why usually we need the challenge. We actually need them. But biologically, this is how we've evolved as a species too. It's when there's new dangers or new threats, we adapt and we evolve technologically or intellectually. So they serve a purpose. And the more we, again, that's part of sort of accepting how reality works, is that the more we understand that the challenges and successes are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. We're actually, the more this goes on and the more people I talk to like yourself, Byron, the more excited, as weird as this sounds with the crap that's going on, the more excited I get about this because I know we're going to come out the other side. And I know the changes and the things that are forced upon us right now are going to be such a positive thing, you know, going into the end of this year and the beginning of next year. I'm really excited for that to start happening. It's kind of accelerated the stuff that we've been, you know, as a community here, we've been trying to work on anyway, and it's going to accelerate those things.
Yeah, 100%. And if you can view it as this is not even a chapter in your life book. This is a couple of pages within a chapter of your life book.
It's actually one little sentence.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll just take a little bit of a pause, get some feedback from you guys. What are you picking up here? What's at this stage in this little presentation here, what's the one thing that's sticking out to you? What's the one positive that's resonating with you right now out of everything we've talked about so far? Just type one thing in the box. Let us know that you're picking something up here.
Or any questions you may have.
Yeah, or a question. Absolutely. And then we'll get on to your last point here, Byron, which is a fantastic one. How are we going to take action?
Yeah, cool.
Derek says positive attitude. Absolutely. Positive, proactive.
Yeah, because our results are going to be a reflection of our attitude. The attitude we bring creates ripple effects within the family, within our own internal health, actually, in terms of whether we're activating the parasympathetic or the sympathetic nervous system. So the attitude we're choosing to focus on actually has a physiological response as well as psychological. And then the ripple effect out into the community, whether it's our business, family, or even further, the attitude is a great foundational component.
Yeah, and Margaret said focus on solutions, 100%. And that's always the case, right? We want to focus on how are we going to solve these problems? I think also focus on what you know the outcome is going to be with a high degree of certainty, uncertain of the time frame, but certain of what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Focus on mindset. Cool. All right. So let's talk about acting.
Okay. So every single one of us, we have a unique set of highest priorities. The things that we perceive to be most important in our life, from most important to least important. So bringing conscious awareness to, okay, what are your highest priorities right now? Because we can lose focus by just getting overwhelmed with, oh, well, I need to be doing this and I need to be doing that and I need to do this. It's like actually putting pen to paper is a very insightful and liberating exercise, because it gives you clarity. And the more clarity we have more confidence, because we see what needs to be done. And then we can have more certainty as a result, because we now have an action plan. So if we can get really clear on, okay, for your business, what are the highest priorities right now? What are your highest priorities in the area of finance right now? Your family, your relationships, your personal health. Because if we're neglecting our own personal health and we're not sleeping well and we're not eating well, then we're basically pouring sugar into the Ferrari. So we want to be still nourishing ourselves with the nutrition, the rest, doing some movement, even if we're still just stretching for 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, going for a walk, provided it's in a safe quarantine-ish area, but still moving so that your body's still working for you. And the clearer we are then on the outcomes that we're actually looking for, we then reverse engineer and go, okay, so what are the highest priority action steps I could be taking today that are going to help me work towards the outcomes I'm seeking in each area of life? Because if we're not doing this, then our days fill up. So if we're not filling our days with high priority actions, they get filled with low priority distractions.
Love that. That's good.
So the more clarity we have in where we should be focusing our time, our energy, our resources, then we optimize our focus, we optimize our performance, we create a sense of confidence, we create more clarity, and we create certainty that we can get there. So there's a worksheet on the following page, which we already had a look at before. And once Bruce writes this point, yeah, which is so important. So a lack of high priority actions only makes room for low priority distractions. So on the next page, which we now see in front of you, is called the Quarterly Productivity Maximizer. So it's in times of uncertainty, it may be a bit more challenging to think, okay, what are all the things I want to get done in 18 months? So we break it down into a bit more of a bite-sized chunk, which is 90 days.
I hope it's okay. I've made that 7 days.
Okay, that's fine. Absolutely fine.
Just because the given current conditions, we've got to make some changes.
Yeah.
Maybe 7 days, because we are finding that things are adapting and changing almost every day. But let's say 7 days seems to be the norm right now, where there's a major change up or down.
No, I like that. I think that's wise. So you could call it the weekly productivity maximizer.
Exactly. And that's good.
It's still effective. So if you're clear on what do you want to get done by the end of this week, so it's not about what you necessarily need done at the end of 5th week. It's, okay, what do I need done this week? Because that I can be totally in control of. That I can be super clear of. I can put a list of who I need to call, people I need to speak to, places I need to go, foods I need to eat, quality time I need to spend with this certain person, or a resource I need to read up on, or a video I need to watch, or what have you. The clearer we are on that 1 week of activities, that will really start building momentum. And the quickest way to improve our mood is to make an act of progress. So the key to feeling more fulfilled is to be making progress. And that again puts us in the forebrain. We get to experience more objectivity, resilience, less emotional volatility. And that's how we're becoming the captain of our own ship again. And therefore you will then know, okay, now I know how I need to lead my people around me. So it starts with getting clear on where we need to lead ourselves. Then we'll be able to break that down into action steps for other people to assist, or to instruct, or to inspire, or to guide with what they could be doing.
I think this is such a good sheet. And I think that at the very least, you've listed things to get people to focus on specific high-level topics. The one thing for me is health, because if my health is better, my relationships are better. If my health is better, I'm better with my family. If my health is better, generally I'm on top of my finances, sort of. But if my health is better, my business is better. And so health for me is really important. Like, you know, whether it's eating, whether it's breathing, whether it's exercising, and, you know, we all go in cycles like this, right? So I found that, you know, over the last 2 or 3 days, I've been improving my health and my eating and all those regimens, and all of a sudden my brain's alive again more than it was before. And it's amazing how that actually does affect your brain.
Yeah, well said. Because a lot of the chemicals in our brains, the dopamine, the serotonin, a lot of them are produced in the gut. So if we're eating healthier foods, that's literally providing more nourishment to our thinking abilities. And the more we can think clearly, we make more wise decisions, and therefore the action is more optimal as well.
Yeah, it's grounded in science, isn't it? It's not.
It is.
It's not light and fluffy. It's scientific.
No, it's not think your way to success. It's like, well, we want to think wisely, but then we still have to decide and act wisely as well.
Yeah, that's actually one of our programs. You're not going to think your way out of this. We've got a 90-day program. Do nothing and you're going to get the same result, guaranteed. We guarantee 90-day results. Do nothing, you're going to get these results. Nothing.
That's great.
Cool. All right. So wonderful points. Just a bit of a recap.
Yeah. So to recap over them, number one is to accept the situation is what it is. And we've all got the same handicap. It's the same thing I was giving another client last night. The example is that everyone's got 24 hours in a day, and we can complain that there's only 24 hours in a day, but everyone's got the same 24 hours a day. So everyone who's in the construction industry at the moment is handicapped by this same situation. So how we choose to show up to it and how we choose to respond to it, that's totally within our control. Number two, which we didn't get time to really go on, but I'll just share now real briefly, is connect again to your 5-year or 10-year vision for your ultimate life. Connect to the longer term. Okay, what is it that you're really striving for? Maybe it's to provide an amazing life for your family. Maybe it's to have a global business. Maybe it's to have wonderful and prosperous relationships. The more we have sight on something in the 10 years, the less volatile we are to something that's going on in 6 months. Because we understand that 6 months in the scheme of 10 years it's a stepping stone. It's only a few percent. So the clearer we are in why do we do what we do, who are we doing it for, and we focus on that long-term vision, that's going to keep us inspired. Because as Bruce has just highlighted, that we actually, we're capped in our ability to grow in proportion to what's the size of the challenge we're willing to take on. So if someone's only willing to grow a joinery business when clients are falling from the sky, or people are referrals are really easy, there's a real shortage of kitchen supplies, like anybody can do well and they'll grow in that proportion. But it's those who are willing to step up in times like this and create new systems and enhance leadership and still maintain their health and relationships, then we become bulletproof in what we can handle. So it's a very powerful philosophy to think that my growth is capped by the size of challenge I'm willing to take on. And most people just aren't willing to take on challenges. They're so committed to seeking comfort instead of growth. So if we can think, okay, challenges lead to growth, then it puts us in a really powerful position to go, okay, how is this going to help me fulfill my future vision?
That statement, Byron, for me, that's the statement of the month. We grow in proportion to the size of the challenge we're willing to take on. Let's be willing to take on this challenge and grow because of it.
Yeah,
it's just such a powerful statement. Words mean so much right now because it does influence what we do.
Yeah. Which brings us back to perfect timing, actually, which brings us back to principle number 3 is control our focus. So if we're focusing on this challenge as an opportunity versus, this challenge is really uncomfortable and it makes me stressed, that's going to shift our psychology and physiology. So we want to focus on possibility, opportunity, and growth and rising to the occasion. Number 4 is decide who you want to be. So become consciously aware of the qualities you want to portray on a consistent basis and how you want to be remembered through these times, because that becomes the light that shines the direction as a compass to move us forward. Number 5 is take ownership, take responsibility. So control how we respond to events instead of letting the event dictate our outcome. And number 6 is act on the highest priorities. The highest priorities creates maximum leverage in order to be able to make progress and to be able to grow and to still maintain momentum, no matter what it is. So fill your day with high priority actions so they don't get filled with low priority distractions.
Momentum is a really good word to use right now too. We want to keep momentum going that we'd already built up, not let it pause or stop completely. It's going to slow down a little bit potentially, but let's not let it stop.
Yeah.
So awesome, Byron. I want to just open up right now for questions, comments, anything you guys want to put on the table right now. Byron, you're a wealth of information. We could have talked for probably 4 hours here.
Oh yeah, we could go for days. But I'm happy to serve. Team, if there's any questions you've got or comments, I'm here to serve any way I can.
Yeah, just really appreciate what you're doing here, and for me, and I'm certain for everyone else, it's been a pretty powerful sort of a message. And we need these sort of messages in these times from various sources.
Been an absolute pleasure, and thank you everyone for also your comments and contributions throughout.
Focus definitely on the biggest challenge at the moment. Absolutely.
Nice.
It's very, very good. The presentation you put together too, Byron, I think was spot on. You've nailed the points that we're sort of looking for. Robert, Natalie, Margaret, Katie, Derek, Jurgita, David, let's just get a bit of a sign in or a sign off from you. It's almost 11 o'clock, so we're at the end of what we usually go to, which is 45 minutes to an hour, which is great.
Sure.
What have you guys taken away? We've got a bit of a feedback from here anyway. Question from Robert, do you find that it's easier to get staff to change during times of challenge?
Yeah, so the key is with the staff, remind them of so anytime you're communicating with your staff, add some purpose to it. Hey, we're looking to shift things up because in order to adapt, in order to make the most of this opportunity, sometimes we have to take one step back so that we can take 4 steps forward in the future. So help your team understand the thinking behind what you're doing or what you're asking of them so that they can be brought on board with what the vision is. So the more everyone's clear on, okay, what we're working towards, then the stepping stones, they become a lot more engaged in, rather than just giving them instructions that they can't link to how it actually helps them in the future as well. That's going to be the most powerful form to get your team engaged, is help everyone be clear on what the vision is.
Awesome. Natalie said, thank you for hitting the spots that she needed right now in conversationally. And yeah, big thanks. Katie's talked about loving to share. Just like to get a thumbs up with everyone. As you know, we're doing a podcast, and I'd like to actually convert this into one of our podcast broadcasts, if everybody's okay with that. I've used first names only. Byron's, obviously been featured here, so that'll be featured. But Katie, this is going to be put into a podcast and a video, and your joiners and your manufacturers down there, absolutely put them straight onto us, put them onto our podcast, put them into the YouTube channel that we have, which has a podcast filter, so they can look for those. So no doubt everybody's struggling a little bit right now, but the leadership right now, I think, in this industry is lacking. Our leadership in this industry is lacking. I'm doing everything I can to provide leadership as much as I can, but my focus is with you guys first and foremost, because you are my tribe. So the more we can blast this out, the better it'll be. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
All right, Byron, again, thanks for your kind and gracious willingness to give.
My pleasure. I'm glad to hear everyone's found it valuable. So my pleasure. Absolutely. And you've got this, everyone. You've certainly got this. With Bruce, you're in great hands, and I trust you'll come out even stronger on the other side of this.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day. We'll chat soon. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for participating. Thanks for being engaged. And we will chat again soon. Have a great day.
Thanks, Bruce.
Cheers. Peace out.